So guys, the question is, what he's asking is, he's saying that if I copy the entire table and then I go to any sheet, let's say this sheet, and I paste the entire stuff there, then will my that range also captured? Because in the previous tutorial we learned the change event on the single cell, but this time we are having a changes done in the 4 cells. And I paste it here. Alright, so we got the error now, type mismatch, and you can see the data was pasted but you got the error. So where is the error? Let's click on the debug. So if the old value is equals to space, then old value should be equals to 0. Okay, so what happened, this old value, this old value, this is referred for a single cell. If you remember, any cell, if I if I overwrite something there, or if I go to the blank cell and I write something there, that is what we are capturing in the old value. Okay, now what happens, so let me reset the code. Now this is not a single cell, this is a range actually, and that's why it is not able to work on this. So I copy this and I go and paste it here. Now my target cell refers to a single cell, Okay, now let's start. Okay, so let's put this here. Now guys, your new value, first of all, the new value, what is a new value? New value is a variant, because it can be a text, alphanumeric, or number, right? Now what we are going to get here, that is the problem, because if I run this, for example, let me see that what we're going to get here. You can see that it says object variable or with block not set. The reason is clear, because you pasted the entire range here. It has multiple cells, and target is always considered as what? A single cell, so that is why we are not able to capture this. We will not be able to work on this particular thing. Now you have to think on this. That is why it was giving you the mismatch error, because you're working with the range. Now what we can do is, the target dot value, instead of that, if we can fix it with the for each cell in a range. You guys remember that collection loop for each cell in a range, where we can go and write our range as selection, so that the loop should work. So let's go and check that. Let me go and reset the code. First of all, I want to quickly show that code to you in the module. If you remember or not, I'm not sure. So this is your collection loop. When you have a the selection is, user selects the data and he wants that on that data something should happen, right? So let's say I simply want to, right now I'm not here to sum them or to multiply them or to put any condition. This we have done. I simply want to just revise you, give you this revision that how to run the loop on all the cells one by one. So this is how we write the collection loop, right? Next cell, this is how we write it, and this cell is my object as range. Let me make it my cell as range. You define that as a range, that's the class you give, and then you write here for each my cell in range. Now the range here can be A1 to A10, in this case it is D5 to D8, you can write it, but we will not go in that way, because the problem is this is a static range, and you never know where the data is going to paste it and how many cells are going to be pasted. So we have a better way of doing. Instead of this, you can go and write here for each cell in selection. This is a VBA word, right? Some people, they also do one thing. Instead of writing this as selection, what they do is, you will find in some of the codes also, they define first of all the object. Let's say I define it as called full range as range, and then you give it a assign the value as selection. So both the options are fine. I mean, if you want to go this way, then you write here for each my cell in full range. This is how you write. All the options are okay. Now I want to go here and say that message box my cell dot value, my cell dot value, and I will go and run this code. 55, 88, 77 and 88. We got it done. Now this is something, the concept I'm going to use there. What I'm saying is that whenever we done some pasting, the idea is when you paste the data, when you copy this and let's say you paste the data here, the data pasted always in this way. So the selection is always there, I mean to say. So we have to think of this, we have to basically change the code. A little bit of tweaking has to be done, I think, in the target, because now the target becomes a range, and I think if we can do that, the rest of the code will remain same, right? So anyways, I have created a separate copy for this. This is events. I'll rename it as events 2. Okay, so let's go and do the things here. Okay, so first of all, if I look at this code, target as range, this is already defined as a range. Very nice, right? Now when this is already defined as a range, that means, guys, this my cell as a range, this is already done, right? Because target is there, right? So they have given us the parameter called target as range. This is exactly what we have done here, that my cell is a range. So for each target in full range, we have to create a full range now. So how are we gonna do that? Let's go and check that. Target is already there. So what I do is here before the application enable event becomes false, which means that before the event stops firing, because by default they are always true, we will go and run the loop for each target in the range, and we will simply go and pick up those values and we will export them in the log detail. Right now this seems to me easy, but events are always they give you the surprises by throwing the errors, but we can go and check that. So what I do is I say that for each my target they have already defined it. It's a VBA word, they are using it, right? So for each target in now you can use whatever you want. As I said that selection would be a good word. I think you can directly use the selection word. Don't declare any variable. Next target, right? Now we have to check, are we getting the values or not? Okay, so let me put the breakcode here. So I copy this and I go and paste this here. Okay, so let's go and check that. Alright, so we're getting the values. Fantastic. Now I never used any collection loop in the event, right? It's just that he asked me a question and I thought of doing in this way. So this is also a good thing for me also. For me also it's a good revision. So we got the values. Now let's reset the code. So the code is working. Now here we have to plan. Now when you get the values, so obviously you're getting the range, you capture the range and you're going in the range one by one. So when you go to the 55, before you go for the 88, let's simply go and put that value over here. This is the only thing I think we need to do, isn't it? Okay, so let me go and delete this first of all. Okay, so what we will do here is, now once you have the message box, guys, what will happen, here you were storing the value in the new val previously because there was single value, but here now I have so many cells, so I can't write here new val equals to target value because of the reason that when I run this code, my new val would be 55 and then 88 and 77. So we want to pause, So once you capture the new val here, immediately you should go to the sheet log detail and put the data there. That is how the plan is. So we have to see the line where we wrote that particular piece, old val and new val. This is what we have written. So now that was a single cell, so here we have to cover 55, 88, 77, 88, everything in one step. So will it be okay if I copy this and I go and put it here? Okay, so what will happen, the value will come in the new val and it will go and get printed in the main table. Then we will talk about the old value. First, let's go and check this thing. Okay, so I go here and let's say I give a name called Jan, Feb, March. Okay, only 3 values I'm picking. Copy the data. Let's say paste the data here. Alright, there we go, event fired, right? Okay, so this for each target in my selection, this is my selection. We will have Jan, Feb, March one by one. Now the first time when when this loop runs, obviously for each worksheet in worksheet, for each workbook in workbooks, everything, for each file in folder dot files, one by one, the loops access the objects. So in this, my first range object would be this is going to be Jan. Okay, nice. So I got the Jan in the new val. This should go in the B column of my log detail table. Okay, now time to go for the next target. What is the next target? February. So now again control up arrow, right? So we will have a February also there and then March also there. Okay, now let's go and check that. Very nice. I got my Jan, Feb and March. Now the thing is, how will you capture the old value? Because new value is done. I can immediately exit from here also, so now we have to think. Now guys, the thing is, either you plan that whenever something gets copied from here, and when this sheet gets activated, which means when sheet 34 gets deactivated, because this sheet can be activated from any other sheet also. I mean, if I'm on Monday and I go and write here, I do not want to run my event. Why I want to run my event if I'm getting my sheet 1 activated from some other file? But yes, if I'm on the sheet 34 and I copy something and then I go to the sheet 1, then I want to put this thing in the event. That definitely, because I'm coming from sheet 34, it should do something, right? But well, if you say that I have to make this for all the sheet, then you can write that code in this workbook also, that whenever the sheet 1 gets activated, you have to do something. But for the time being, what I'm going to do is we will go and say that if this sheet 34 gets deactivated, which means I will go in the sheet 1 or wherever I go, I don't care, this data has to be copied. But then the problem is that, so maybe I'm not doing any copy and paste, I'm just going to the sheet 9, then you don't want to do that. So this is a sort of thing you have to think on this particular part, how you can achieve it, because this should happen only in the control C and the control V. So basically, when there is a change happening in the sheet 1, only then you should go to the this sheet and then see the data from there, what the data is copied. Or maybe I guess I think I need to correct myself. When you do the copy and the paste, guys, the values remain same. So there is hardly anything here which is going to change, because you are copying and pasting the data, So that means if I'm working on this Jan, Feb and the March, I mean if this range is pasted, then I would have got the same value in the old value also, right? The only thing which you can do is to make sure that from which sheet it is coming, maybe you can go and write the sheet name. I think that would be a perfect way of doing the things, because copy and paste means you will have the same process. You will, what you are copying, you are pasting. So your old value is also same and your new value is also same, right? So I missed out that part. So I think you can go and use the A as well for the new value. You will have the same value pasted. But if you have this sort of thing, if you have Jan-Feb pasted here also, it's not giving you any information, right? It's not giving you any information. When you talk about the log details, you want to basically pinpoint something, So old value is coming from where and the new value is going where. This is something you should actually be able to track, right? Now new value is already understood. We all know that because we have written the change event in the sheet 1. So you can always write, in fact here, the sheet 1, this is how you can write sheet 1 new value, right? Now I'll tell you the plan to make this simple. Let's say this is my sheet 34 and this gets deactivated. So if I capture the name of the sheet, let me go to the sheet 34 first of all. I say, so when I have you deactivated, okay, I want you to go with your sheet name, okay? So global name equals to active sheet name, right? This is how I want to plan this. You can in fact write the sheet name as well in the code sheet 34, because this is a sheet 34 and you're writing the code in the sheet 34. But why I'm writing the active sheet dot name, because if somebody go and change the sheet name, then you shouldn't have any problem, Well, that doesn't happen. That's a poor the database, you're not maintaining the database properly if you are renaming the sheets once the codes are done. So that's something you should avoid it. But anyways, I have written here active sheet name. Now guys, I want to give this a name global, because I want to use this in a different sheet, right? So module level variables will not help you. I'll have to retain the name. So I go and write here dim global name as a string, because sheet names are generally always in the string, right? So this is how I've written it. You can also write this in the module, that's okay. In fact, let's go and cut this, because I can't create the global variables in the sheet modules, okay? You can create the module level variables, because the module level variables are what? They are applicable in the entire module. But when it comes to the global variable, you can't write them in the sheets window, okay? You have to write it here. So go and write here global. I think I should give it some another name, maybe sheet name, okay. Right, so I copy this, I go to my sheet 34 and I go and paste it here, right? So we can use this. I put the break code here. Now let's try to do this. So let's say I copy this, right? I go here, right? Your event is fired in the background, you can see here, right? So I will capture the sheet name, sheet 1 is there. Because it is a global variable, I will not lose the identity of this, it will remain there, right? I can still hover, I can put the watch code, and I will be able to carry forward this value. So sheet name is captured. Now obviously my next step would be to paste the data, okay? So I think I have already the break code here, okay? So I go and now paste the data. Now when I paste the data, guys, here I will have my the sheet sheet name, I think that was the name, right? Can we go and check that? What was the name? Sheet underscore name, I give it a name. Now there is one more problem here, that so let's do one thing. Let's not write the active sheet.name, because active sheet.name is a VBA word. I go and say that, look, if you're gonna go from here, make sure you do not rename the sheets, otherwise the error will come. This you have to plan. So I say it is sheet 34, okay, and I go in every sheet and write this line. First let's go and check that with this particular thing. Let me reset the code to make my global variable 0. Okay, I copy this and I paste it here. Okay, so this is going to run. First of all, I have my sheet name as sheet 34, and let's I paste this here. Now this is basically underscore name. Now let's go and check that, guys. Okay, now we got it, sheet 34, right? So the problem was, why previously it was showing the sheet 1, because I wrote there active sheet dot name. So active dot sheet name means that the word, whichever active sheet you will have at the point of time when the macro is running, it will be captured. So that's what was showing the sheet 1, but then I made it static. Now guys, you have got the sheet 34. So now what I think we should do is, before we okay, so here in this new val, okay, if the data is coming from sheet 34, then you have two choices. Either you concatenate the sheet name with the new value, I think that would be the best way, or the another way is you create here all the sheet names like sheet 34, sheet 9, data 2, MON, invoice, and accordingly with the if condition you write that if the name of the sheet is sheet 34, then go and use the control up arrow in the column A and feed the data there. Don't touch the C and D because they have the different sheets. That is a one option. The second is you don't create the sheet names here, different columns. Just go and prefix this Jan with the sheet name. Okay, so I'll go with that thing. So I go and write here my sheet name and I concatenate it with new val. Okay, you can also write I mean some of the lines you can write that the old value copied from, you know, that's all, from the sheet is this, right? I mean that's sort of thing you can develop. So let's go and check that now, and I first of all go and delete all this. Please make sure date and username should also come in the same order, you know, so we can go and put these values also. I cut this and I go and yeah, so let's go to the sheet 1. This is how we started the code. So first value is captured, you know, it is going to be Jan, makes sense, and now we will have this log detail, value copied from this sheet, which is sheet 34 is this, right? This will be captured in the A column, guys. Okay, so we are done. Now here also you can again, you know, if you want, you can add the things that the date, the changes made, or the copied, not the changes but maybe the data copied from this sheet to this sheet on this date. So you can make a, you know, the string, proper string. Okay, so let me end this. That is how the code looks like. Okay, so basically we are targeting only the sheet. We know the new value will always be same and the old value, but here you will have at least one thing recorded in the log that from which sheet actually the data came, which is I think the main objective, right? Now I go and do this for the another sheets also. Let's go and check that as well. So now once this is done for my this particular thing, we don't need this, by the way. I think I go and simply comment this, right? Here we have a different situation. Okay, so now quickly you go to the sheet data 2 also, and you select the same event worksheet and deactivate. So when this worksheet gets deactivated, you know what you need to do, right? You have to use this global sheet variable, and you say that the name of the sheet is data. Okay, I'll just change the name of it. This is not a good way to refer, so I write here data. Okay, let's go and check with the data also. I go in the MON as well. So in fact, let's go and guys copy this entire code, because for every sheet this will remain the same. You know, event, we have all these events. So let's quickly go to every sheet and copy and paste it. So it is already there. Now if this event, this invoice, this is a worksheet change event, this is a different one, right? So we want to make this for the deactivate. So go and write this deactivate, right? So when this invoice gets deactivated, what you want to do now, please remember one thing guys, as I was telling you that day also, since now he has asked me this question. Now you see you are running two events here. Worksheet change was entirely a different event which we did that day. It has nothing to do with the worksheet deactivate. Now we are making a new event, but please do the proper testing, because it should not happen that when the worksheet getting deactivated, this event is also getting fired, right? So you have to take all those permutation combinations in your mind, because you know events, they run themselves if the condition satisfies. So your one action can call, you know, for the another action. So you have to make sure. Okay, and if you have made this worksheet change event, please run this event and make sure that this should not ever work. I don't think so it will work, because this is totally completely a different event, right? So here I go and write this is for my invoice, right? And then I go in this Monday MON. I again control V it. I write here MON. You can choose, I mean, from here also. The moment I paste this event, I have my deactivate event automatically coming here. So both ways, okay, you can pull it from the drop down also, or you can copy and paste also to bring the more speed. Log detail, definitely we don't want to touch it. Sheet 9, yes, I want to. So I copy paste it and I write here sheet 9. Okay, and I think I missed this part. Yeah, so this is also Monday. This is invoice. This is sheet 34. So guys, we are good to go now. Okay, now to explain you, I can go and put the breakcodes everywhere so that we can see. So let's go and check that now. Okay, so I go, let's say in the MON sheet. Okay, this is my MON sheet, and I go and let's say this is the data I'm going to paste. So you copy the data. The moment you go to the sheet 1, deactivate event will fire, right? I click on the sheet 1. Can we go and check that? There we go, because this sheet is deactivated. So I'm just trying to capture the sheet name, nothing else, right? And it is a global variable. That's a good thing. So your sheet name is now have the MON, the event fired, done, nothing now. Till the time I don't paste any value here, my new change event will not fire and it will never go in the log detail, right? So I go and now paste the data here, Control V. All right, now we have this data event fired in the sheet 1. Okay, now you know this message box, I don't need it. This is just for your information, right? So let's go and check that. What is the sheet name? You know the sheet name is a global variable, right? So this will definitely have a, you can see here, this has carry forwarded the MON. So you can't expect these kind of the programming, the code successful without the global or the module level variables, right? So I have my sheet name. Next time I don't need it, I will definitely go and comment it. So let's go and check that now. So what is the new value? It is 566. So you're gonna have all these values. I think this is how the code will work. I think we are done with this. Let's quickly go and do the testing now. Done. Okay, cool. We have the data here. Okay, or if you just I would say you just print the sheet name, because this is 5667575 doesn't make any sense, because anyone can see these values from here. You just print the value that it's coming from where, so you can write here data copied from MON, data copied from sheet 34. That's how. Now I have written all this in all the sheets, right? Let's do this quick testing. Let's go and remove all the break codes. Okay, there we go. So I don't have any break code now, and I'll remove this as well. Okay, now for example, let's do some troubleshooting now. So let's say I go to the sheet 9, right, and I write here Malish Anand. Now guys, I'm going to copy this, right? I'll go and copy this, and I go and paste in some another sheet, maybe invoice, or maybe here, because in the invoice I have created another change event. So let's say I go and paste this data here. Something will happen? No, nothing should happen. You got the data pasted? Great. Can we go to the log detail? Yeah, nothing is coming, obviously, because event is going to fire only on the sheet 1, right? So this is also okay, pretty cool. Now the second thing which I want to do is, again I copy the data and I go to the sheet 1, and then I thought of pasting it, but then I did not paste it. So what I did is, I just pressed escape command. If you press escape, the copy command will get removed from the memory, right? Or I don't press escape, I just write here something 77. Now what should happen? First of all, thank God there is no error coming, right? So if you go in the log detail, we should be able to see only 77 and 0, because you haven't copied it, So now look at this. Now this is what I was talking about. Yeah, you see that it did not print the value here, and it is also something coming. Now here, this is something now we need to rectify. That what if I don't get the, if I don't copy the data from there and I don't paste it here, then I'm okay with this. If it says that value copied from sheet 9 it's actually giving me the correct picture. It's showing me you haven't copied anything. I'm okay with this. But then here in the new val, instead of giving me the blank, it should write nothing pasted. And moreover, one more thing. You have written here 77. So where's the 77 captured? 77 is not captured, guys, because you have changed the entire code. If you look at the code, getting my point? You go to the sheet 1. We are not undoing anything. Now your code is straightforward. It says that I will capture all the 4 details: date, username, and the new val, and from which sheet it is going to come, and I'll print it out. But the problem is, what if user changed his or her mind? She copied the data from the that sheet, but when the user comes here, he did not paste it. Now if he did not paste it, then this line should not run, this one, and neither this one. Then what should happen? Then this line should run, because change happened in the cell and it has nothing to do with the copy and paste. So you have to take both the options. I'm again repeating. What is happening here is, if you go and let me put the break code here. You said that alright, I go and copy the data from here. So I copy this 3 items, I come to the sheet 1 and I change my mind. I realize no, sorry, it's not supposed to be pasted yet. I first have to do some changes. So what you did is you write here Sunday. First you have copied something and you did not paste it here. Now you can't tell your user that first you go there and escape it. No, you can't, obviously. User writes here Sunday. The code is going to run. Now when the code is going to run, this code is specifically going to, first of all, it will talk about the range. So what is the first, when you have written this Sunday, you see that what value you're gonna get. You're gonna get empty. Why? Because for each target in selection, what is your selection, guys, right now? When you have written Sunday, your cell move to the next cell, right? Because you press enter. Now when you press enter, you are on the F18. Now in the F18 there is just one cell, so your selection becomes what? F18, and in that also there is nothing. So this code will just run one time, because you said that for each my target in selection, and this is your selection now. Selection has empty cell and single cell. So you know what will happen now. You will get all the wrong values exported there. This is where you need to actually decide. You need to fix this, that if the data get copied and it did not paste, then what are you supposed to do? Then you are supposed to go by this plan, because that means that the user, the value which the user has entered, it is not coming from different sheet. It is entered as a fresh value in the sheet, and that's where this application event undo and all that stuff is going to come. But now how will we capture this? Who will tell me how you can track this, that if the data is copied, good. If the data is not copied, then what? Can anyone tell me? So now guys, you see, if you're copying something, do you ever copy blank cells? First of all, tell me. We never do that, right? We never copy blank cells. If somebody does that, then I'm giving up. I can't think of that thing then, because this is the, I don't know, rarest of rare situation where somebody would go and copy the blank cell, right? But anyways, even if you copy the blank cell and you paste it somewhere, what do you get? Empty. So I'm going to make sure that when this change event fires, you go and check for each cell in a selection. When that loop is running, you immediately check the first value, is it empty or not? Because if you have copied something, it can never be empty. The first cell can never be empty. It is not possible. If I have A1 to A10 numbers and I go and copy them, they can never be empty. If I have to, let's say if in range A1 to A10, A1 is empty, why would I copy the A1? I won't. I don't do that, right? So my point is very simple. When the selection event fires, immediately put the if condition. When the selection event fires, immediately put the if condition and decide what you want to do. Let's reset the code. Okay. So here, I can be wrong. I may be wrong, but let's go and try it, So you got your new value. New value would come from the very first cell of that range, because the collection loop always starts from the first object, right? When you run the loops, collection loops, they never start from any zigzag way. It's not like that. If you're running for each worksheet, it always starts with the first sheet. If you're working with the workbook open event for each workbook, in workbooks, it always picks up your first workbook, this workbook first. So that's how everything is. So we want to simply make sure that in this range, if the new value is going to be empty, then that means the data is not pasted. I think so. That's how we can write. So I go and write here, if the new val is empty, it's not empty, I would say, then do this. Then do this one. Okay. But if it is empty, then what you want to do, guys? That means the change happened there only. Okay, so then in that case, this entire code, let's go and cut this and put it here. Okay, so I have to recall this, what was happening here. We were saying that the new val should have the target value, okay, and application enable event, we make it false, then we undo it so that we can have the previous value back. That gets in the old value. If the old value is going to be space, which means if I have written something on the fresh cell, then old value has to be 0. Okay, and afterwards we go and write this program. All right, if my check equals to 2, I think this is something we did not need it, right? If my check equals to 2, this is something coming from the very first time when we were making the code. Yes, I remember. So I think yeah, so we need the date, name, undo, and that's it. Okay, so let me go and check that. Reset the code, guys. Now the first thing which I would do is, again, I would go and write here. Okay, so I would go and write here Sunday. Okay, okay, next without for, so we're getting here error. Next we have to write the else also, because we haven't no, else is not required. You have written everything in the single line. So for each your cell, if this is this, else, okay, yeah, else. So else you have written this entire thing, and you have to go and close it actually. So else this, undo. Okay, I think and if. Okay, event is running, right? Let's go and check that now. Okay, so now your there is no range actually, because the selection is on the A8 and the A8 is your empty, right? So new val is what? It is empty, obviously, because your for each target in selection, this loop will run on this cell A8, okay, because this is the only selection we have. Now if the new val is not empty, it is empty, so we will leave all this part, we will go in the else part. Now we will go and capture here the new val. Okay, now the new val which we're going to capture here is okay, so it's not showing me Sunday, it should show me this value as Sunday. You know why? Because of the reason that basically when you write this for each target in selection, this new val captured this cell, because you're writing this in the for each loop, and in the for each loop it will always target the selection area. So selection is what? You're saying that for each my target in selection, which is in a single cell called A8, get me the value of the new val, which is target value. So that's why it is showing you value as a blank. But I have an idea now. What is my idea? First of all, let's go and check that if this is going to work or not. So enable event, I'm going to make it false. Okay, undo it. Yes, there we go. So undo happens, old value is going to be targeted. The old value comes as empty. Now if the old value is empty, we will make the old value as 0. So here in the a column control up arrow of log detail, we will have this value as 0, but this is unfortunately not, we are not able to capture this. So I have an idea now. See this, guys. This target is not, something called concrete line that this will always be defined as a change happens in the cell. Okay, it also matter under what scenario you are using. So select this cell and I write here Ajay. I press enter. The moment you press enter, your selection goes to the A7, right? Because when you press enter, your cell always moves to the, goes down, right? Unless you go and change the settings from the file and the option from here, but nobody does that. So now we have this target. In my last chapter, I told you that target always is, referred to the event. What sort of event is happening and target becomes that. So if you go and write selection change event, if you remember, selection change means if I simply go and start clicking here on all these different cells, the moment I select any cell, that event fires and it captures the cell which I have selected. But in the case of worksheet change event, because it is a change event, target becomes the cell which is undergoing some change, right? So ideally this has to be the thing. But what happens, immediately you start your loop and you say that for each my target in the selection. Now your selection is just a single cell which is A7. So it goes inside that and it captures that target. So instead of capturing Ajay, it is now capturing new val because you're using it inside the loop, right? Now if I reset the code, and if I go and, for example, if I put this line here, target.value, okay, I'm writing this before the collection loop. Actually, I'm writing this. I go here and write month. Okay, I run this line. Can you see that? It is now captured as month. Why? Because, guys, target is a VBA keyword which is given to you so that you can, according to the events, take the value and use it. If it is a change event, that means any change happens in the cell that should be given to this target. So I'm using that. But now the question comes here is that when you write this loop called for each target in selection, because for each cell in a range, what is it? It is simply a collection loop which go and start working on the multiple cells on that range which you have selected. But unfortunately in over here you have just a one cell which is selected. This is also a range, but this has a single cell range, and moreover this has nothing. You are actually not copying and pasting the data here. You're not copying from any of the sheet. That's why we have to make the two plans, right? So I'm just trying to clear it one thing, that new val generally refers to the change event, but it also, you should also note one thing, that it is writing, you're writing that target dot value under which scenario. Because if you're going to write that under the loop system for each target in the selection, it will always go and pick up the selection, and definitely you will have a trouble there then. Okay, so I have a now solution. I will not change this entire code because this is a good way of capturing the copy and the pasting commands, and we are okay with that. But let's do one thing. If the program is prepared keeping the copy and paste thing also in mind, because that is also we have to keep in mind, let's do one thing. This target, let's not capture the dot value, because if I'm going to use this loop and if it fails there and it comes in the else mode, obviously I will be knowing that my new val is going to be what? My new val is going to be just on the top of the cell. So because when you press enter, you move down, and you never move down by two cells unless you go and press enter again and again, right? So when I am copying something and I press enter, I would be on the A8, which means just on the very next, just on the above row, whatever value I will have, that becomes my new val. And I think that is what I needed, nothing else I needed. This way. Let's quickly go and check that. Now I go again, I'm going to do it from here. I copy all these cells and I go to the sheet 1 and I want to paste them here. I changed my mind and I write here December. Now when I write here December, I press enter and your cursor is on the C6. The code immediately fires. The code checks that the target in the selection is what? Obviously the selection is just a C6 cell, you know, this is. So it finds the target there. It's going to find the target what? It's going to find the target as empty. So obviously if the cell is empty, you will go in the else mode. Now when you go in the else mode, you say that your now the new val should be the value which you have in the target cell, just move it one row up. Okay, that is the plan, because from here the target is captured as blank. Immediately, you know, the cell which is coming above that blank cell, or it is a blank or not, I don't know, but this is how it is. Okay, so we will immediately go and capture that. What is your new val now? DEC. This is captured now in the new val. Now time to make the enable events false. Why? Because I want to go back to the previous value. Before the December, before this DEC, what was written there? Let me do the undo. The moment you do the undo, your value December will change to previous value, which was blank. So in this, at this point in time, event should have fired again, but event is not firing because before undoing you made the enable event as false. So this event again not going to run, and then very smartly you're going to capture the old value which is empty, right? Now finally you say that if the old value is empty, then I will not like to print that as just empty. I will like to print that as 0, so that control up arrow can work for me. Because when you use the control up arrow and if you don't write there anything here, or the B column is keep getting filling, you know, but in the A column you keep having the blank. So control up arrow will not work in the proper way. You will not have the entire row in the same, you know, in the sync. Your B would be going in a different direction, A would be going in a different direction, and a person who is going to read that, they will misinterpret it. So that's why we are making sure that the 0 should come. In fact, you can see here the 0 is also printed here. Okay, so that's how now I'm going to print my old value as 0. This is the previous one, I guess. So let's just remove this for the time being. This is how your situation is right now. I go and in fact delete everything. So finally you will have the old val, you have the new val, and you have the date, and then you have everything, right? Once you are done, guys, once you are done with this, again you want to undo it because we need that value back, you know. We just undo it to go and pick up the old value, but the user, the changes which the user has done, that has to come back, right? So that is coming back. Enable event, again you will make it as, you know, true, and if next target and finish. Why the next target is it's not it did not go to the next loop, guys. It did not go to this for each loop. Simple, because there was just one cell which is selected. So finally I have my all the details here, right? We can see this again. I go and write here, I press enter. You know your new val is blank. So if it is blank, then we will go here in the else mode. Okay, and now we will target the new val, which is target offset from this cell -1 row, which is coming as Jeep. I make my enable event as false, undo it, capture the old value. Old value is captured, which is empty. Let's make the old value as 0. Let's go and print this old value 0 and this Jeep there, date, everything, and now undo the things. Undo it, you are back on the Jeep, and enable event should again be true, so that the next time when you do any change in the sheet, enable event true will make your event fire again. And since there was only just one selection, there was only single cell, for each cell in a range will never work again. Next target would never come because it was a single cell. So that's how your this event is done. I can go and now check the control C. I copy this again. Log detail is coming proper. Yes, it's coming proper. Now I go and paste this here now. Let's go and check that this as well. Okay, now pasted the entire range, you can see here. So when you paste something, obviously it will have a value, no doubt about that, right? So for each your target in the selection, you already have pasted the value. The first value should be your 566, which is not empty, you know. That means it's coming from the different sheet. Okay, print this entire thing. New val, it's the value copied from which sheet. So let's go and check that as well. From which sheet you are copying? From MON, right? So everything is in place. There we go. So now this keep on running 4 times. Finish. Last time it is running. Finish. Can we go and check that? You can see here now if the change happens in the sheet which has nothing to do from the copy and the paste, then also we have the values. If the copy and the paste is happening from a different sheet, then also we have this macro running. This is how you can make, plan the things. Now there are a lot of things, if you go inside this, maybe there are some points I have not covered, but then you can plan the things. For example, while talking to you, I just realized that if I go and overwrite the 88, then when I go and overwrite the 88, I press enter, my cursor would be on 77, but this time this cell is not blank. So if this cell is not blank, will this code not run? This will run, and maybe you will then be in a problem, isn't it? See this. I'm on 77 and I make it 1000. So obviously after doing the change, you will press enter. Event fires. Remember your selection now is not empty. So what will happen? Your new val is 88, right? Now if it is 88, is it empty? It is not empty. Now again the problem comes. This will now start capturing from where it is copied. From where it is copied. Ideally this should have not run, isn't it? Because the change made in the sheet 1 only. But unfortunately, because the next cell when you press enter, that was not empty, this will go here, right? And you will have this sheet name also as MON. First of all, make sure, because right now I'm on this sheet. So this MON should not be carry forwarded. So whenever your macro finishes, I always say this, make sure you put them to 0 or blank, whatever it is. So it should be blank whenever the next time the code runs, because here it is giving you a very wrong information. It is telling you that the data is coming from MON sheet, and it is not coming from MON sheet. Why it shows MON? Because last time when we copied the data and we pasted in the sheet 1, it was the MON sheet. So global variables are not going to die, right? You have to kill them. So that's why next time when you run the code, first of all, let's make sure that we should be making that after we are done with the code, we should make that code as empty. Now guys, to deal with this sort of problem, because if I go and write something here and I press enter and the next cell is empty, then the code works fine. But it is not going to happen every time. Maybe you go and do something, change here, and you press enter and this value will have something. So in that way, what is the solution? The solution is, guys, you pop up the message here. You put here a message box. Or if you can think of any other possibility, of course you can go and do that. I say that, is it copy and paste operation from other sheet? Put that here, right? Give the 2 boxes, yes and no. That's it. Okay, and then right here, if your message box is equals to VB yes, then this code should run. Okay, because if he says that yes, this is a copy and paste operation, then this code should run. If it is not, if that is not the case, then what should happen? Then I think in that case you can quickly go and maybe remove this, because if it is copying and pasting, for each cell will definitely go and run, and this is how you should be able to finish it off. Okay, and next target, you go and write here next target, keep running this, and if the message box is no, then I guess we can use this entire code. Let's go and check that. So go and write here 99. I press enter, argument not optional. Okay. So first of all, I create some variable here, z equals to. Go and write here z equals to. You have to assign a variable, put that the message box in the brackets. We talked about this in the message and the input boxes. So I'm just going to give it a name called variant, dim z as variant, and now let's go and run this. Okay, so immediately I am asked, first of all I reset the code again, let's go and do that again. So 99 is my value and I make it 999. Okay, is it copy and paste operation from the other sheet? I say no, it is not. Okay, so if the z is VBS, then you know VBS always holds 6 values, so this variant can also be byte, but you know VBS is not selected by the user. So now we go to the else part. Now in the else part, when I go, I want to check what is my target. Now in this particular case, if I go and hover my mouse, you know, it says me Ajay. It's telling me now Ajay, guys, because now you did not go in the for each loop. So now the target would not be -1, but exactly the target, because now you're running the change event absolutely the very first time you are running it. Because in the previous line, when we were running this line under this for each target, my target was basically considered as that selection, which is E13 in this case, right? So to avoid that thing in the else mode, I was using the -1, but now we are not even touching the for each loop, so your target would again remain the same, which is 999. Right? So you capture the 999 here, enable event false, application.undo. Finally, we have 999. We will capture that as well, old value. So you have the 999 also coming, and this entire thing will work. Finally, we are again undo it, come back to the previous, the new value, enable event true, and sheet name, make sure it should be this. Now I go here and I copy this data. First of all, let's go and check the log details. It's coming 99 999, perfect. Now I go and let's say copy this data. I go and paste it here. I'm going to be prompted. Is it a copy and the paste operation? Yes, it is. I click on the yes. Now you know if the z is going to be yes, then your loop will fire in the then mode, and in the then mode I will have my entire this for each loop, you know, going to work. So this is also a good idea. So you see, I'm modifying the codes because there is no script here which I can go and read. When you sit and when you also make the codes, you do the changes, right? You do a lot of modifications. So message box would be a good idea. And can we go and check that? Now one thing I'm noticing here, the value copied from, okay, yeah, sorry, I thought where is the sheet name? So data is the sheet name actually. So you see that the data is also coming. Now I think pretty much satisfied with this sort of thing. So I will go and now, you know, start working here. So let's quickly do start writing something. So I'm going to write here Malesh. Is it a copy and paste operation? No. Okay, done. Can we go and check that? We have got the Malesh with the old value as 0. Perfect, you got it. I go and write here Velvi. Is it a copy and paste operation? No. Again I go and write here Ajay. No. Okay, fine. Valvi Ajay. So we should have Valvi 0, Ajay 0. Great. Go to the sheet 9. Let me copy this. I copy this. I go to the sheet 1. I go and paste it here. Is it a copy and paste operation? Yes. You should be able to see Jan, Feb, March in both the details. In the column A, we should have a sheet name. So we have value copied from sheet 34 is Jan and Feb and March. Right? Now maybe you can, some of you may be thinking this point in time that the code is fantastic, but is there any way we can avoid the message box? Because why to give this option to the user, asking, because user may get irritated also. Well guys, as I said that you have to plan then. You can think of any other option as well. You got the point. What we did is, I can't say that maybe when you sit and you do some cross checking, or as I said that maybe this thing irritates you, but guys, you can modify the code, but the overall, the concept, that should get into your head, that how the things are working. As I said that way, that day also, because events are so powerful that it's not a kind of, 1 minute or 2 minute program that you just go and write it. You have to actually, I would say that events involves the maximum number of logics. You have to think a lot in these cases, because they are not in your hands, they run themselves. So when they run themselves, you find them quite annoying also sometimes. So you have to plan a lot of things. But coming back to his question, that how we can make the tracker where we can go and from the another sheet copy and paste something. This is the idea I have given you. Go to every sheet, capture the global variable, the sheet name, and write that in the sheet deactivate event, because I think the deactivate event was the best one, where you can go and capture something, and then immediately when the user comes here and write something, they will have the sheet name also captured. So instead of the message box, maybe if you can do something something which is happening in the background silently, that would be great, because even I don't want that user should keep on writing yes and no. But then you can think on that part. Any doubts we have, any questions we have in this? If you will have any problem when you go and write these things, okay, if your concepts and the fundamentals are clear, you can definitely overcome those situations. That is the idea of these trainings, right? Anyways, you can always get back to me if you have the problems, right? So thank you so much for your time, for your trust, for your confidence on me, and I hope you are having a fantastic journey. I'll see you then, guys.